Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and many have asked me to reach out to Apple to fix an issue you're having, or you've asked me how you can tell Apple that you have a problem or an issue. There's actually a few different ways to do this, and you can also report things with individual apps, website pages, counterfeit products, and more. So I thought I would show you how you can tell Apple about the issues you have, or just give them even suggestions on everything from designs to ideas. The first thing you can do is go to Apple's feedback page, and I'll link all of these in the description, but this is the product feedback page where you can tell them about different things for iPhones, iPads, Apple Watch, any product they make, any app they make, as well as Mac OS apps, even ones that don't exist anymore, such as Aperture. And if we continue to scroll down, we have iCloud, their services, wallet, and more. So maybe we want to report feedback on an iPhone. If we go into iPhone, we can put in our name, email, subject, comments, and what version of iOS you're using, and even select the version of OS you're using on your computer, and then submit the actual feedback. Apple says that they look at this. I'm sure they get a bunch of this, but you'll see all of the information here from Vision Pro to Mac Studio and more. The same is true if you wanted to submit feedback about maybe the Calendar app. You can do that here and then just leave comments. You can see which devices you're using them on, how do you use it most, and more. So lots of good information here if you want to leave them some feedback about it. Now, many of you have seen this before in my videos, but if you're in the beta program, you'll actually have a feedback app. If you have betas enabled, you can go in here and submit different information about problems you're having. New feedback, you can see news about different updates. You'll see updates released on 127. If we go into submit new feedback, you can submit new feedback about iOS or anything you're working on. So iOS and iPadOS, then you could submit information about this gathered based off of your device specifically. So maybe you're having issues with this while you're using a beta. This is where you would submit that feedback. And then sometimes if you've submitted feedback, they may ask for additional information or tell you that it's resolved in upcoming versions. For example, we had this with iOS 18.3 recently, where someone actually reported poor battery and Apple addressed it specifically in iOS 18.3. So you can see what that looks like here. So they do respond, not to everything, but they prioritize it based on how many complaints they're getting and how severe it is. There's also something else you can report, specifically with apps themselves. So maybe not just on the support page, but maybe we go into the Maps app. So if you have Maps and you're using that, and within Maps, whether you're looking at a specific area near Apple South Park or something else within Maps, if you scroll up, scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see we have the option to report an issue. I've actually used this when Apple Maps was newer, where it was missing a couple different roads. It took a couple weeks and then they added it in. So you can report something that's missing, report a street issue, a place issue, a route issue, or an incident. So lots of good information here. If you're seeing something maybe in a newer development that's being built, and maybe the road's been there a while, but it's not updated here, I would definitely report it here if you're not seeing that. Something else like this is true within Apple News. If we go into News, and these are just the news headlines, I don't subscribe to any of these specifically, but you'll see the three-dot option under one of the stories. If we tap on this, we can go to Share the Story, and under Share, we can actually report a concern. If we have a concern about this, we can say something is broken, it has offensive or graphic content, misinformation or disinformation, or you just don't like the story altogether. Of course, if you want to do that, the option is here. The option is also there with podcasts, but it's a little bit different with podcasts in that it's a website. So if we go back out, so here we're at the Apple feedback website, we have a separate podcast website where it says use the form below to send us your comments. They read all the feedback carefully, but we're unable to respond to each submission individually. So you'll see you have different concerns. You can put the channel name, the show name, the episode name or number, time in the podcast where the issue is observed, and what you were using while you were listening to it. So lots of great information here if you want to submit feedback on a podcast specifically. Sometimes it's split up into different websites. Sometimes it's within the app itself. When it comes to security, you have the option to submit multiple types of reports. For example, if we go to Apple's Security Bounty website, this is for security research. If you find a vulnerability that they're able to duplicate, you may actually have a payout for that. In the upper left, you can actually submit a report. You can use a research device where you can apply for this, where Apple would give you a device so that you could research this if you're maybe a security engineer or in that field. And then you could submit your research, easily send reports on the web, view all of your reports at once, and communicate with Apple. However, if you just want to report maybe a concern you're seeing with maybe social engineering schemes and phishing messages, well, they also have a place for that as well. You'll see on a separate website, if we scroll down, we have the option to email them specific information. You'll see it here. If you receive a suspicious email that looks like it's supposed to be from Apple, please forward it to this email address. And then we have the same for FaceTime and other options as well. So if you're seeing sort of odd things that you think shouldn't be coming to your iPhone, there's a place for you to submit those issues. So maybe it stops others from experiencing the same sort of social engineering schemes. So be sure to do that. Again, linked in the description if you want to check it out. Now, I've had many people message me and say that they've received AirPods, they bought them, but maybe they didn't buy them from Apple and thought they were real. However, many AirPods, unfortunately, are not real and are counterfeits. So if you suspect maybe you have that, they won't update, they don't have any of the features they're supposed to have, even with the latest updates, you can report that to Apple directly. Typically, I recommend buying AirPods directly from Apple. You can buy them on Amazon directly from Apple or from an Apple store or an authorized retailer such as Best Buy. However, there's a website to submit counterfeit and knockoff products. So again, I'll link it in the description, but you can see all of the information here, where you'll submit your name, your email address, possibly your phone number if you'd like, as well as the URL, the store name, and other information where you may have purchased it. If you don't believe it to be real, then Apple can investigate it. You also can submit additional documents and photos and give them more information if they need it to help them find out who's selling these if they're not real. So this is something I learned about today that I didn't realize they had, where I knew they went after people with it, but I didn't know there was a separate website for it. So be sure to check that out if you think maybe you have some fake AirPods. Finally, maybe you're on Apple's website and you're having an issue with it. Maybe you go to a web page and something doesn't load. Well, you can submit feedback for that as well. You'll see it says I have feedback about select feedback category, and you could submit issues about website issues. Maybe a product's not loading, or the colors are wrong, or maybe they even uploaded the wrong photo or information. There's also product support and product feedback. Now, there's a lot of different things you could submit support issues for, products and concerns, and I think one thing Apple definitely should do is consolidate some of this into one website where they have it into categories. There's a lot of different odd websites you can go to submit all of this different feedback, but either way, maybe they'll do that in the future, and maybe I'll submit feedback that they should do that. But either way, that's how you can submit feedback, whether it's a problem you're having with iOS, an issue you're having with their website, a counterfeit issue, a security concern, or maybe you just think they should redesign something or you're having problems with battery. Be sure to utilize all of those different things. And again, check out the description for each one of those broken down so you can maybe submit that if you have an issue yourself. So let me know if you thought this was helpful, and if there's any other things you haven't been able to find elsewhere, let me know in the comments below and I'll try and condense the information and help you out with that. Of course, I'll link this wallpaper in the description like I normally do, and if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe, and if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.